In this video, we're going to have a quick look at taking ThingWorx log files and bringing them into Azure Log Analytics. So here I'm going to start here, the application log in ThingWorx. I've just got it configured here to be debug. So we're going to get lots of log entries logging to the log files. And I'll also just point out briefly that we also do have a connection server connected here, an Azure Iot Hub Connector that's in a different VM, which will also be picking up those logs and bringing those into Azure Log Analytics. So let's just leave that there and have a quick look. So here you can see I've got my two virtual machines. This one is showing the Azure Iot Hub Connector, and we can see this is the ops log that is just scrolling here. And so let's start by just having a look down here at the log file for ThingWorx. So the log files are in here. They're in the ThingWorx storage logs directory. We can see we've got the application log, communication log, and everything that we want. So we want to get the log analytics agent to pick these up. Okay, so let's go have a look at that. On Azure, I'm here in my log analytics workspace. And the first thing we're going to have a quick look at is the agents management. And we're going to have a look. By default, we come into Windows servers. I don't have any Windows servers. I have Linux servers, so I have two Linux servers that are connected. And I've already used this, essentially these help and the workspace ID and the primary key in order to get these connected to this particular workspace. So once I've done that, the next step is really to go into advanced settings here. And now in advanced settings, I can go into the data section here. And we've got all the basic things for Windows event logs, performance counters, Linux performance counters, but we want the custom logs section here. And the custom log section is going to allow us to select specific log files that we want to tell the agent to go and be pulling those in for us. So you can see here that I've already configured some for the IoT Hub Connector for the metrics, the log, the debug log, and the ops log. So we'll go and have a look at those in a minute. But in the meantime, let's add some stuff for ThingWorx first. So the first step is it's asking us for a sample log file. We're going to choose a sample log file, and here I'm just going to provide it with this example of an older log file so that it can have a look at what's inside it. Here we can see it's separating it by new line. We're going to change that to timestamp as the record delimiter and select the timestamp format that's being used in the file. And then we need to put the log collection path. So I'm using Linux, and we're just going to put that path in there that we saw. Okay, so application log. Okay. So I can put multiple paths in here if I did have different log files that were the same custom log entry that I wanted, but because this is the only place that these exist for the application log, I'm going to leave it like that. And we'll put here ThingWorx. Actually, I'm going to spell it like this, camel case, and ThingWorx application log. So it's appending this _CL for the custom log, and we'll just say done. And that's going to add that to our list here, ThingWorx application _log. So let's add some others. We won't add everything, but you know, the maybe the communication log. We'll do the same thing. We'll leave it at that. 2, we'll call 2 good enough, and we should be all set. So now that I've added those, it's going to take a little while for these settings to be populated down into the agents, but basically those are going to be populated down to all connected agents. So those folders will exist on one of the agents and won't exist on the other. And that's exactly what's happened with the IoT Hub Connector metrics. So we'll give that a little bit of time to deploy. Hopefully it won't take too long and we'll start to see some data coming in for ThingWorx. But in the meantime, let's go and have a look at the Azure IoT Hub Connector virtual machine, which has already been set up and is already logging data. So over here, so here we're on the IoT Hub Connector, and I've created a folder here, varlog IoT Hub Connector, that includes essentially all the different connection server. And we didn't explore the configuration, but basically I've just told it to pick up the cxserver.log here, the metrics.log, and the cxserver-ops log. And this is just using the basic configuration for kind of debug mode with a redirect to this path here. So my log files are going to be captured here. And up here I see the, this is the ops log. We can have a look at the debug log. And so let's go have a look at this in log analytics. So from here, I want to do a query essentially. Never remember how this works. Yeah, that's not what I want. And I'm just going to come into the log section. I'm not going to build any fancy anything. Just we want to see that this stuff is coming up. So here you can see I've already favorited a few items here. And these are just because that name that I gave it in the custom logs is important to keep in mind that that's what I'm going to build into the log analytics queries here. So here I have the IoT Hub Connector log, metrics, and ops log. So let's just do a query for IoT Hub. Can't type anything. There we go. And so we'll look for the ops log. And basically we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to do any fancy, okay, it doesn't like that. The purpose here is just to show that we're bringing the data in. We don't need to really look at it. So here we can see 5:10 p.m. Checking protocol. So here we can see some of the last messages. And if we come back over here, we should be able to see those up there as well. So there's obviously a lot that we can do from here. We can configure pulling out individual or specific metrics if we wanted to, go into parse out these things into separate columns to make our own custom metrics if we wanted to. Purpose of this video is really just to show getting the logs into log analytics. So let's see if ThingWorx is set up. ThingWorx application, and really I just want to see the application log with no special query. Okay. So it looks like we're going to have to wait a little while in order for the agent to get connected and getting us data. And let's see if it's been able to deploy the agents and get some logs. And so we do have a couple of the first records that have come in. Okay, so here we have two messages, cleaning up routing groups, and let's just come over to ThingWorx and see what it's telling us. And effectively, we've got these cleaning up routing groups. So not extremely interesting. I guess if we did something on the platform, then let's create this thing. Okay, so we just created this test thing, and ideally we'll see these logs not only come up in the application log, we've got debug logging on. So here we do have something, maybe that wasn't for that particular thing, but we certainly have various levels of activities here. And if we come back to Azure Log Analytics, we've got a couple more that are coming in here that are still cleaning up routing groups. So that's probably going to take a couple of minutes before those next entries come in, which is entirely normal. In the meantime, let's go in here and set some favorites for those two that we set up here. So now they'll show up here. While waiting for this to come in, I will just mention that obviously it's important to keep an eye on cost. The amount of log data that we can be pouring into log analytics can quickly build up, especially if we just have things being very verbose. So I'm just going to go in right now, actually, and not only to not fill up the disks with log files, but we're going to set the application log to warn instead of debug. So we'll turn this logging level down, and that's also going to keep the size of data that's coming into log analytics to a minimum. Obviously, any messages that we do have coming into log analytics, whether they be in a log file or not, it's going to make it harder if we've got overly verbose messages in here. So good reason to turn it down. That's one of the reasons on the IoT Hub connector, having those different files. The ops log is a great thing because of the fact that we can really specify that only operational things. Okay, there we go. So now we've got those messages, those logs that have come in that we can see here pertaining to the creation.